Hi all, I have another fascinating game of Leela ID 529. I'll put all the details in the pinned comment. Time control is very fast and furious, 40 moves per minute. So the game's provided by Dietrich Kapp. Let's have a look. The setting, the opening book setting, is the very funny named Frankenstein Dracula variation. So knight takes e4 here, white's hitting f7, black parries that, and we see black holding f7 here resourcefully, g6, white continues the pressure on f7. So this is all in the Frankenstein Dracula variation. Here queen f6 in this particular game was played, also seen before as queen e7, but they both have this idea of now sacrificing the exchange. So knight takes c7, sacrificing the exchange. So really razor sharp stuff. b6, this is the end of the book. So more often, well, queen e7 is also played as well as queen f6, just to bear that in mind. So here we see an artificial looking move, queen d3. It seems in chess-based live book d4 might be the way to go. For example, remember white's just won a rook over here, so any simplification is good news. For example, this taking on b6, this position, there would be knight h3 is good, threatening bishop g5. So for example here, bishop g5, this position is razor sharp stuff, but it should be okay for white. White should be doing okay. So anyway, so queen d3 was played, which blocks in that d pawn. It seems a bit more artificial to me. Okay, Senpai's not in the top 10 chess engines of all time, so bear that in mind. It's going to be like one of Morphy's opponents. Okay, I'll warn you now. Well, you probably get that just now. Bishop b7. White does take on b6, taking maximum material. Knight e2. So, yeah, the exchange sacrifice, and also white is still a pawn up here. 7 pawns for white. The exchange up, but look at black's pieces. They're fully activated. f4, it looks like a really dangerous position. a3 at least stopping ideas of knight b4. We have now knight d4 from Leela. So this is the first really quite interesting move. Leela's putting the pressure on g2 here. White takes on d4, and perhaps white could consider f3 to parry the pressure on g2, but white castled here. I'll give you an idea of f3. Say check, and the king might be inconvenienced, but remember white's the exchange up. If white can unravel and even give up h2, this position might actually... It's still okay for black, though. It's still okay. Black has a small edge here. For example, like this, black might even be evolving the advantage. There's a lot of pressure on f3 here. So anyway, white castled. Maybe white has gone wrong already with that queen move, because it blocks in the bishop. And now Leela gets the dreaded form pawn. And no, I don't go out of my way to check if a game has a form pawn or not. Thorn. I do not go out of my way for these games, I assure you. It just seems to be a Leela fetish. g3. Okay. Bishop g7. It is very dangerous, as you can see. Clearly it's very dangerous. As long as it's not knocked out by, say, a bishop coming to knock it out. It's very dangerous. Rook e1 was played. Here, I mean, an alternative, c3 might be viable, even though it allows bishop e4. There's queen takes d4. This position, white the exchange up could actually give back the exchange under certain circumstances. Looks really dangerous, but if white gives back the exchange and gets this bishop going in the game, then this might not be so terrible. Even the form pawn can be attacked, and this might actually not be totally disastrous for white. But in the game we have rook e1. So white doesn't seem to be that keen on giving back the exchange. White is more keen on keeping technically the exchange up. So we have h5. Black is meanwhile now activating this rook. So the bishops and the knight, everything seems quite optimal. We have h3, which might not be the best. It weakens the king pawn chain a little bit. Maybe c3 is to be preferred. Just again with the same sort of ideas to try and get rid of this bind, basically. It's trying to unbind. So this queen g5, there's bishop d1, for example, like this. There might even be a way of knocking out the dreaded form pawn resourcefully. And here, for example, if white can do this, white might be okay even with a small edge. But in the game, h3 was played, so white didn't challenge black's d4 pawn. And now we have knight f5, and all of a sudden there's nasty, nasty threats in this position, like knight takes g3. White plays queen b5, and now Leela plays another sort of going back to the binds. Yeah, because this bishop's about to be liberated. Guess what Leela plays? I wonder if you can guess if I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, the cruel move, d3. Yeah. This bishop's never going to see light of day at this rate. And this is a characteristic of Alphazero, killing the queenside bishop in particular. We saw that in a lot of Alphazero games, the predecessor, which inspired the whole Leela project. So the c1 bishop is pretty bad here. White played c3, which is like positional harikari here with the c1 bishop. It's like Morphy's playing one of his weakest opponents or something. But if we have a look, I mean, it is pretty bad. Say bishop a4 with the crude threat of mating, queen d6. This position, black can play bishop d4, and white's still in a bind. Can't play c3 because the bishop takes f2, winning the queen. What does white actually do here? There's a threat of queen takes g3 here. So say king h2 to try and parry that. Knight takes g3 is crushing. Like this, h4, everything's falling apart here on the king side. Basically, white can end up just getting mated like that. So it's a pretty diabolical position here in any case after d3. White's definitely gone wrong to have this position. We could have a look at c takes d3 for a moment, but then knight d4 hits the queen. Say queen e5, that's not a great move because it kind of loses a rook. But what's the alternative? What's the alternative here? Queen c4, then there's queen f5. So threatening h3, and if bishop d1 taking is kind of mating, and if king h2, then that just runs into h4, and white's just getting done over after knight e2 check. For example, here takes. It's absolutely crushing. King f1, it's hopeless. Queen h2, it's crashing through. So it's all pretty diabolical by this stage, in any case. So c3, yeah, white's out of the game really. There's no opponent now. Knight takes g3. Leela's getting her evil way now on the king side. Bishop e6. Bishop e6, yes, very clever, as though b6 is an issue to sort of interrupt b6 here. That is actually taken. Queen takes b6, king c8, fg, and now h4. The attack rages on. The queen is stopping at least f2 from b6. Check, g4, but now queen f4. There's still an infiltration possibility. King f1, queen g3, threatening mate. That's parried, but then losing the h3 pawn and g4 pawn. And now bishop h6. Funny enough, this bishop can't parry the h6 bishop, threatening bishop f4. So, yeah, this is pretty nasty stuff now with things like bishop g3 and f2 on the cards. This is just pure desperation. Dietrich Cap plays the games to the bitter end for your entertainment. So, queen g3, check. White gives up the queen, pretty helpless. Checkmate. So yes, that's probably the worst you've ever seen white play the Frankenstein Dracula variation. The worst you're likely to see, because any human player, I mean, generally we do like to have active pieces, not like the bishop on c1. But you know, brute force is brute force. As a generalization, they just play the position. They play what seems to be scientifically okay, without that feel for the position or the activity of the pieces. But it is a fundamental trait of the predecessor Alphazero to really destroy the queenside bishops. If you look at some of the games where it beats Stockfish, it is a speciality as well as connected pass pawns as well as form pawns. The hemming in of bishops is a total speciality. So we're starting to see that in the Leela Chess project as well now. This game is pretty vivid for that, but White could have played better. Comments, questions, like, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.